Hello, I'm Gabriel Powell, and this is my presentation on adaptive leadership. So, as the name of the approach implies, adaptive leadership is about how leaders encourage people to adapt. This type of leadership is focused on helping people face and deal with problems, challenges, and changes. The briefest definition is it prepares and encourages people to deal with change and to critical think. So, although most leadership theories are leader centered, this is actually more follower centered. It is about helping others to explore and change their values and or goals. Conceptually, the process of adaptive leadership incorporates four different biases: systems, biological, service orientation, and psychotherapeutic. This leadership is about equipping people uh, with the skills and equipment they need to go out and to do the work. So this has six leadership behaviors. The first being get on the balcony. This is a metaphor for getting the big picture of what is really happening. So the leader is able to momentarily step away from the noise and activity and the chaos of the situation. And this helps them to kind of identify power conflicts among people, ways they may be avoiding work, and other dysfunctional reactions people might have to new changes. The second approach is identify adaptive challenges. So after getting that bird's eye view from the first behavior, getting on the balcony, leaders must analyze and diagnose the challenges. Central to this process is differentiating between technical and adaptive challenges. So technical challenges are challenges that are clearly defined with known procedures in place to fix them, whereas adaptive challenges are not clearly defined and they don't have procedures in place to fix them. These normally require critical thinking or innovation. The third leadership behavior is regulate distress. So, feeling certain levels of distress during change is inevitable and even useful sometimes, but feeling too much distress can be counterproductive and even sometimes debilitating, depending on the situation. This challenge for a leader is to help others recognize the need for change, but not to become overwhelmed with the process. Leaders need to monitor stress that their people are experiencing and keep it within a productive range or help regulate it. The fourth approach is maintain discipline approach, and this is this is needed to encourage people to stay focused on the task at hand. Um, this does not come easily, as people naturally don't want to be confronted with change, especially when the change is related to their beliefs or values or behaviors. This leadership behavior is about helping other people address the change and not avoid it. And the fifth behavior is give the work back to the people. And this is basically a behavior that kind of stops a leader from micromanaging. It Even though the leader is to provide some direction uh, and structure to the job, people do want to feel like they're actually participating in the work and like they actually are are thinking for themselves and are actually putting their values into it. They want to actively participate in problem solving, and micromanaging tends to have a negative impact on productivity. And finally, the last one is protect leadership voices from below. This is um, this means that adaptive leaders have to be careful to listen and be open to ideas of people who may be at the fringe or the marginalized people or even the deviant within the group or organization, because these changes sometimes don't really have processes in place. So getting these many different opinions and voices can be helpful for this leadership style. So identification, implementation, and development. So a practical approach is to first identify whether or not the problem is a technical challenge or adaptive challenge. Once the challenge is identified, the leader can begin to implement leadership behaviors such as regulating distress, maintaining discipline and attention, divvying work back to the people, and maintaining the communication from the bottom of the organization to the top. Then finally, a defined plan can be developed, taking into account all the challenges while optimizing the plan for reuse or as data to increase the effectiveness of the next use of this leadership style. Uh, One of the strengths for this leadership style is it is follower centered. It focuses on providing people with the tools they need to succeed. It kind of mobilizes people to actually go do the work and to be critical thinkers. It encourages thinking for themselves. It is process driven and can be used for almost any situation, and it shines when new processes need to be implemented. Some of the criticisms for it is fairly new, and there is not much data to test the claims, and also is very general, and it is hard to make a step by step process for it because most of the times this leadership approach needs to be used. Um, it it can be very varying over what type of function you're actually doing and or what you actually need to be doing. It's kind of where the six leadership behaviors come into play. So the movie that I chose to watch is Star Trek, the 2009 version, and the leader I wanted to use is Captain Kirk. So Captain Kirk is uniquely fitted to this style of leadership. The specific leadership behavior he displayed during this adaptive challenge, which was rescuing his crew and also gaining the captain's seat. He had to regulate distress and he had to maintain a disciplined approach. His implementation of this was rough, but the urgency of the situation took precedence. The way he implemented it was by provoking Captain Spock, the guy in the blue, to kind of get him to realize that he wasn't mentally fit to remain in the captain's seat and that he was actually doing more harm than good. So after revealing the state of Captain Spock and the debilitating levels of distress that he had, Captain Kirk was able to gain control of the situation by fully stepping into his leadership role and directing the team's attention back to the problem that needed to be solved. And so he actually went and faced the problem head on instead of running from it, and he was able to overcome at the end and also mend things between him and Captain Spock. So the adaptive leadership approach, I've actually seen this approach taken during my time in the military. So during the Russian and Ukraine war, we had to maintain a 24-hour presence in a certain area of responsibility around Europe. This was a technical challenge since there were procedures set in place to maintain that level of surveillance. The adaptive leadership came into place when it was discovered we would have to maintain a 24/7 approach indefinitely. This required permanent shift changes, and everyone had to maintain a standby status. The leadership behavior came into play where regulate distress, maintain disciplined approach, and protect leadership approach from below. So basically, people were not getting their weekends or holidays. Uh, we were working 24/7, 12-hour shifts. So we had to maintain a focus on the task at hand and the people that were at war and what we were doing to help them. We also had to listen to the people below to make sure their shifts were right, and also to make sure everyone had security clearances to get into the systems we were used to surveil them, our area of responsibility. And that is the end of my slide. Thank you.